Hello everybody and welcome to another video of DIY investing. Bitcoin is breaking out again and many of the altcoins are providing massive opportunities of profit. For today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 5 of my top altcoins heading into 2023. These are 5 cryptos that I think are going to provide a lot of profit potential. Some of them are low caps, some of them are mid caps, and all of these are going to provide great gains over this year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now before we jump into the analysis on the top 5 altcoins I have, I wanted to quickly brush over Bitcoin. We're only going to be taking a look at the macro view, so we're only going to spend a couple minutes here. I've had a lot of people that are asking me, hey, I didn't buy at the very low. I was wanting to buy, but I kind of was worried that we're going to go to $10,000. Now that we're breaking out, should I FOMO buy right now, or should I just wait for the potential of another massive drop? And to that, I tell you guys my personal experience of what it was like back in 2018. I had a decent amount of money to buy the dip down here, and by decent I mean a few $1,000s. And I was so worried about the potential of us going to $1,800 that I didn't actually buy very much. I only threw about 500 bucks in, and I actually watched Bitcoin take off without me as it began that new bull trend. As somebody who had to watch the market take off without me, as somebody who had every chance to FOMO buy into resistance, it just kept going higher, it kept going faster, and it left a lot of people, including myself, behind. I had to go through that entire experience. I didn't FOMO buy, but it was a long process of watching the market climb all the way back down to support, and I didn't get as good of an entry as I could have. Now, there's a lot of big influencers on Twitter, on YouTube, and different people along these lines that are telling everybody to expect another massive sell-off. They're basically drawing, and I'll pull up the chart right now, they are pretty much drawing the chart of Bitcoin like this. They're looking at this move and this move as capitulation, anger, and they're saying that we are right here about to get one more sell-off, and that's what this move is. They're saying that we're going to get this type of thing. And I could not disagree more from that point. And it's when you listen to too many of these influencers that don't know what they're doing, that are more emotional traders than they are ever thinking logically, they're going to be the reason why many people miss out on being able to accumulate at the lows. Yes, the market is up a lot. Yes, we are sitting at short-term resistance. But you got to keep in mind, guys, that all the way back here, we were doing the exact same thing right here. And many people were saying, we're right at that $5,800 level. Bitcoin's going to take years to break out from that. I'm not buying. You guys shouldn't either. We're going for one more low. And then watch what the price of Bitcoin did. It shot straight up to $14,000. I was one of those people that got left behind. I was one of those people that listened to too many outside influences. I've learned from those mistakes, and that's why I was so adamant about telling you guys that it's better off buying down here than you are waiting for one potential of 10K. And from that point, Bitcoin has done nothing but break up. Now that we're at this point, I wanted to quickly talk about some thoughts. What we saw during the FTX collapse, right before the FTX collapse, we broke out from major descending resistance. This was our entire downtrend. We broke outside of that, FTX collapsed, and we retested our descending resistance as support. At the same exact moment of time, we got the biggest weekly volume breakout in the Coinbase history. Bigger than every single one of our previous volume candles, dating us all the way back to the COVID bottom, which at the time was the biggest candle breakout. We have far surpassed that weekly candle volume, and this is coming at the very terminal end of a downtrend. Those are 2 major buy signals happening right at the same time. Now I'm going to give you guys a third one. If you measure from the very lowest point of our 2018 bear market all the way over to the lowest low of this cycle and the FTX collapse, that equals exactly 4 years, the completion of a 4-year cycle. The completion of a 4-year cycle happened after a breakout of descending resistance and us retesting descending resistance as support. All of these factors were giving us major buy signals, which is why I had the conviction to tell you guys that you're better off buying. The bottom is most likely in, and now that we've seen confirmation, I can tell you guys with basically as much certainty as possible that the bottom is truly in and we have confirmation from this point. And so if you're somebody that's worried about missing out, or you're somebody that's worried about the potential of us going to 10K, you're going to be more worried about missing out on this coming cycle when Bitcoin starts ripping upwards of 25K and we get a pullback. If we get a pullback, it's basically going to take us back down to the same level that we're at right now. And then Bitcoin's going to want to run all the way upwards of $30,000. I'm telling you guys right now, FOMO buying and short-term resistance is not technically FOMO buying when you're very first in the beginning of the new bull cycle. In the same way that if we come over here at the beginning of our last bull cycle, when we broke out and made this massive green candle, and then we spent a couple weeks worth of going sideways here, about a month going sideways, a lot of people were telling you not to buy. A lot of big influencers were saying it was going to go lower. Was this FOMO buying? Technically, we were at resistance, and this was resistance of a support floor that we held for 6 to 8 months. So this was a way bigger resistance level than anything that we're at today. And we spent a month going sideways, and all of the big influencers, for the most part, there were some smart people that were telling you to buy. They were saying, no, do not touch this. We're going to come back down and make a double bottom or make a lower low or something like that. And then Bitcoin broke out, and that resistance was literally not resistance at all. We shot way past it and cleared all the way to 14K. As somebody who experienced that firsthand, as somebody who didn't get enough exposure as much as I could have, I'm telling you guys right now, it is not FOMO buying when it is the very first breakout of the new trend. I've experienced that firsthand, and I will literally stand by my word saying that you're better off FOMO buying into short-term resistance here than you ever are trying to wait for some massive capitulation to 10K. The massive capitulation was the FTX collapse, and this happened exactly 4 years from our last cycle low. Happened also with the biggest weekly candle, volume candle in Coinbase's history. Also retested a major descending resistance as support. It could not get any more clear in my eyes. You gotta ignore the emotions. Everybody's thinking with their monkey brains. Everybody's listening to the wrong influencers. And because of that, most people are gonna miss out on the move that's coming. When Bitcoin rips to 30K, it could even go higher than that. If we follow 2019, we could literally rip upwards of $40,000 to $50,000. And I can guarantee you, anybody that wasn't buying now will be smacking themselves, spanking their own butts because of how much they missed out on being able to accumulate before the long-term cycle. So with that being said, guys, ignore these people, focus on the long term. We've got 3 years worth of bull cycle. Most likely, things can actually change a little bit, and we will cover this in future videos. But for the most part, I think that we should be focusing in on another 3-year bull run because of how identical we have played out in another 4-year cycle. I'm focused on the long term, and let's actually get into the 5 altcoins today that I think are going to be some of the most profitable setups for 2023. These are some with great fundamentals. These are some a mix of low caps and mid caps, but I believe all of these are going to perform very well. So let's jump right into it. First one on today's list is going to be my top pick going into this next year and really going into the next bull cycle, and that is GMX. GMX is basically a unicorn of the DeFi space, and if you guys aren't familiar with Arbitrum, go start doing some research. You guys can actually go over here to CoinGecko, and I'm going to teach you a little something. You can come over here to cryptocurrencies, go down to categories, and this is a really, really great tool to be able to learn about some of the new ecosystems. And if you see, we have Ethereum, smart contract platforms, BNB chain ecosystems, all of the different categories of altcoins are going to be found here. And so if you ever wanted to know, what coins are built on Avalanche or which ones are built under Phantom or, whatever it is, you can come here and you can actually find all the coins, click on the coins, go to their websites and do your own research. Now, what I'm talking about today is Arbitrum. Focus in on Arbitrum because Arbitrum has become the spotlight of the DeFi space. Majority of Ethereum transactions are going off Ethereum's chain and are going to layer 2s, and the top layer 2 is Arbitrum. Arbitrum doesn't have a token, but everybody's speculating that they will be doing a massive airdrop. And so if you go ahead and use the chain of Arbitrum, and you guys can go ahead and trade on GMX because this is a crypto built on Arbitrum. GMX has done phenomenally well. It's been one of the better performing cryptos throughout our entire bear market. And what we're actually doing right now is we're getting ready to break out and make new all-time highs. Why I love this setup so much is because it's one of the most bullish chart setups that you can get based off of Elliott wave theory. And I'm going to draw it out right here. And then what we saw right here after, once we finished the correction, we got another 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So we've already finished 2 one waves. And why I think that this is so bullish is because these are what's known as stacking one waves. Why I believe that this is setting up in such a big way is because we just recently broke out and flipped this major level. This is our most important level on the chart. We've reacted to this level about 100 million times. It's been resistance, it's been support, and it's been the area of demand throughout our entirety of this consolidation. We just retested it as support, and we're getting a buyback as follows. I'm currently long GMX. I'm currently staking GMX a large amount for my long-term portfolio, and I really firmly believe that this is going to be one of those top cryptos heading into this cycle. It's technically the top crypto built on Arbitrum, and with Arbitrum getting all of this spotlight and attention, and many of the altcoins getting attention on that chain, this is going to be the one that, in my opinion, leads the pack and continues to lead the pack like it already has. Now that we're retesting this level of support, there isn't really anywhere to go besides the all-time highs, and I believe that if we can get a strong move up and flip our all-time highs, that's what's going to set in wave 3, and it's going to literally fly in a huge way. If we're looking at the market cap today, it's sitting at just under $500 million, or around $500 million in total market cap. I made many of my best returning altcoin picks around that same market cap. BNB went up about 30+x returns. Had you have bought it when it was at 500 million in market cap. Phantom was one that I bought at 500 million market cap. Pretty sure that that one peaked at about a 50x. Had I actually held it all the way, I think it actually would have made me even more. But like I've stated, guys, a 30x inside of these cryptos, that's a lot of money. And this could easily run higher than that, depending on how much money comes into the cycle. And with this being the leader of Arbitrum and all of these people flooding into the Arbitrum chain, this is one that you really don't want to miss out on. At the very least, get some slight exposure, because this is my top pick, and this is kind of one that I think is going to perform exceptionally well. Now, next up is going to be a low cap crypto. Let's get into full screen over here. This is going to be a low cap crypto, and this is actually a fork of GMX. If you go over to the Mummy Finance website, which is what the token's called, this is going to be a fork of GMX, and if you ever have staked on GMX, this looks exactly the same as the GMX dashboard. It's super easy to follow along with. It's not confusing in any sort of way. If you've ever staked before, or if you haven't, it's pretty easy to follow along and do so. Now, let's remove these drawing tools real quick, and let's actually break down why I believe that this is so good. So I actually got in over here at this green line. That was my entry, so I'm just letting you guys know that I did already buy and have been in, which is another reason, if you guys want to follow what I'm posting about, all of my top picks heading into this next cycle, I always post them inside of my signals group before I ever cover them on YouTube. And so if you want to follow along, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up. Now, here's the big thing, guys. This is setting up in a big way, and it looks to me like we just broke out of our descending resistance, depending on how you draw the descending resistance. But the big reason why I like this so much is because we just finished our first impulse. This is just a wave 1 impulse all the way back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by a big A, B, C back down. And that's actually why I scaled into a position. This is a fork of GMX, but it's actually built on Phantom. So if you guys want to buy this, you're going to have to set up the Phantom network on your MetaMask, and you're going to have to head over to Spooky Swap, because that is where they have the best volume for this. One of the big reasons why I believe that this is going to do good is because the tokenomics of GMX are very desirable. They generate a ton of fees for stakers and liquidity providers, and on top of that, you're going to see a lot of different chains that are going to fork GMX and make their own version of that. And this is exactly what one of these is. This is a fork of GMX, but it's built on Phantom. Phantom is one of those cryptos that I believe is going to perform exceptionally well heading into this next bull run, and people have a good opportunity of getting into a low cap. This thing's sitting at about $1 to $2 million in total market cap, so it's still a very undervalued play. And I mean, if we just run back to the all-time highs, we're going to be looking at about a 61% move. Now, one of the reasons why I believe that this is going to do well is because Andre Cronje or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's one of the top DeFi developers. He built YFI, he built Phantom, he developed Phantom, and he built a number of other DeFi protocols that everybody uses. With that being said, he actually personally invested some money into Mummy Finance, and with him being a lead developer, obviously he's looked into the tokenomics of this, and like I stated, it's just a hard fork of GMX, and GMX itself has already proven to hold up very well in any sort of sell-off. There's a lot of money propping all of the value behind this, and Mummy is just simply a clone of GMX. With it being at such a low market cap, I'm actually staking this for about 50% APY. I'm not providing liquidity because you actually run inherent risk of impertinent loss by doing so. So I'm actually just staking, but at 50%, I truly really don't care. 50% APY is a huge amount. I staked all of mine. I'm just kind of holding for the future because I do think that this is going to take off in a big way. Keep in mind, guys, I will link everything in the description for you guys to be able to go and find these if you actually do want to go find them. Next up on the list is going to be Hami or Hamachi. This is one that I got into during the pre-sale, and my group also got introduced to this inside of the pre-sale. So I got in all the way at the ground floor. I'm not selling anything because my tokens are locked for 6 months to a year. So just be warned on that. I did get in much earlier, but nonetheless, I'm actually locked away, so I can't sell. The reason this one is so valuable is because it's still sitting at about $4 million in market cap, so it's still low cap crypto. But why this is cool is it's a rewards-based protocol. Basically, if you buy Hami or Hamachi and you stake it, you're actually going to be able to earn different yield that these guys are doing. So all of the money that gets staked into their protocol, they are taking that and they are going off chain, going into Arbitrum. They're going to deposit this across multiple different farms, and as they're farming that profit, they distribute the rewards back to token holders. So if you're somebody that's staking Hamachi, you're automatically going to be getting rewards deposited to your address if you go and claim them. Right over here, for an example, I literally just claimed my rewards today. I had $550 worth of rewards in Jones token, and I already have another $382 that has been made in literally the last 2 hours. And so keep in mind, guys, that I was really early to this, so I don't know exactly what the rewards are going to be, but with us sitting at about a $4 million market cap, this thing has a ton of upside potential still to go, and I wouldn't consider you late by any means. When we look at the chart, it's barely just gotten added to exchanges. It's barely starting to take off. I'm not going to try and predict the price or anything because it literally doesn't matter. This is one that I think is a good opportunity for people that want to throw some money into it, that want to earn rewards, because I've already earned enough rewards to pay off what I initially invested into this protocol. So if I never get my tokens unlocked, the protocol gets hacked, whatever, I'm literally getting these rewards deposited straight to my address once I go and claim them on this website. And so this is what's really cool, guys. These Arbitrum altcoins are really setting up in a big way. Keep in mind that this one's also built on Arbitrum. And because of this, many people are looking at Arbitrum as the go-to place for DeFi. This is one of the first protocols that I've ever even seen that is a rewards-based protocol. All of the money that gets deposited into these guys gets taken, distributed amongst multiple different chains on Arbitrum. They yield farm, and then they distribute all of that profit back to the token holders. So this is one that everybody has an opportunity of being able to earn a decent amount of profit off of, not only from the token price being low. Keep in mind that I am locked for at least 6 months to a year, and so anybody that buys this, you can still make a lot of profit off of this token running, and you're actually going to be able to sell it, whereas I can't. So keep in mind, you don't have to worry about me dumping on anything. I'm holding all of my rewards because all of the rewards are getting paid out on Arbitrum altcoins. And if you guys look over here, the one altcoin that is actually getting distributed right now currently, I've already made about $900 worth of rewards off of this already. If we come down here and look at the chart, these are what Arbitrum altcoins look like. These are massive, massive accumulation cycles. These are altcoins that are about to just start breaking out. And if we're looking at Jones DAO, I've already been rewarded about $1,000 worth of the tokens, and it's looking like the next resistance is a 2x away. And so that's why I say, guys, I don't know what your guys' rewards are going to be. I'm sure they're going to be smaller than mine. I'm just going to be open and honest with you because I'm not trying to scam anybody. But with us sitting at a $4 million market cap, this thing can easily run into a much greater ROI. This thing can easily run into the hundreds of millions, potentially even $1 billion in market cap. I really don't know. But if that happens, let's say we hit $500 million in market cap, this one actually becomes a decent project inside of the Arbitrum ecosystem. This will be a huge ROI from the people that bought the tokens, and you're still going to be getting distributed a crap ton of rewards in the process. You're still early. I would not consider this a late buy right now, even though the token price is up. It just got added to exchanges yesterday. So this is one that I would be paying attention to. Next up on the list is going to be a safer pick. This isn't a low cap, it would be a mid cap crypto, and that is LooksRare. LooksRare is an NFT platform like OpenSea, but the reason I like this is because OpenSea doesn't have a token. And this is the biggest NFT marketplace based off of fees generated right behind OpenSea. And so if OpenSea had a token, you guys know how well that thing would perform. And so with that being said, I am buying into this one and have been buying into this because I really do think that this one's going to take off in a big way. We've already kind of seen it do so. I'll show you guys where my entry was. 154 right there. So we got in here pretty early into this. It's up about 20 to 30% from our entry. But keep in mind, guys, that if we're looking at this on a big picture basis, it hasn't really even moved, which is why I wanted to give you guys the signal now. What we're looking at on the big picture is a massive ABC correction. A, B, C. And we finished the very low point of that correction with the FTX collapse. And if we also look, we can see a metric ton bullish divergence. We have this big growing base on the RSI, and on top of that, if we come down here and take a look at the OBV, which is a little bit of a better indicator to use for divergences because the RSI can stay overbought or oversold. This one's been holding support since all the way over here at the very bottom of June. So what that tells me is that this thing is getting ready to run, and if we're looking at where the price is sitting currently, you know, it's going to be about 30% to the next resistance, 58%, and then about 120%. And not kidding, guys, this thing could easily run well above and beyond this. We could be retesting the bottom of our A wave, which would be about a 3x. And that's why I say that these are good picks heading into this next year, because a lot of these are low caps. This one is at a lesser market cap than GMX. GMX is the safest, which is why I put this number one. Mummy Finance, in my opinion, is another really good pick. Hamachi is another really good one that is probably the riskiest of all because we just don't know what's going to happen. But then when we're looking at LooksRare, this one is kind of in between the middle. This one's sitting at about a couple $100 million in total market cap. And so it's down significantly from the all-time highs. And what we see when the new bull cycle starts, we see these cryptos run pretty hard. What this reminds me of a lot was one of my investments that I bought in the last cycle called Zilliqa. And if we come over here and look at what Zilliqa did, it really reminds me a lot of this chart. It's different in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, it's still kind of the same thing. And this is what Zilliqa ended up doing when it ran into its bull cycle. And so whether we make a new all-time high or not, if what we're looking at here with LooksRare is another rally fairly close to those all-time highs, it literally won't matter. Because if we go to the all-time highs, you're looking at about a 35x. If we run to the top of the B wave, that's a 14x. And so regardless, this is still going to be one of those that provide good gains. And off of these support lows, depending on how hard Bitcoin runs, we could very easily see this one start tacking on the multiple X's pretty quickly, which is why it's one of my top picks heading into this next year. Now, the last one on today's list is going to be Telcoin. I really like this setup in a lot of different ways. For one, I actually bought this one. I'll show you guys where I bought it. This was my biggest regret in the last cycle. I bought Telcoin all the way over here, right? And from that point, Telcoin ended up going up about 100x, just perfectly 100x from where I originally bought it. But I sold it right over here in some way. I don't remember exactly where it was, but I did end up selling it at a short loss. It might have been break even. I think it was inside of this move. I finally just broke even on it. I wasn't wanting to hold it anymore because I'd held it for so long. And that was a huge mistake because this one had one of the biggest bull cycles in our last run. Now, when we look at this on a long-term basis, this thing looks solid. It's just a big 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so a one wave, followed by a completed A, B, C correction back down. Now, if we're looking at this on the shorter time frames, this one looks ready to run in a big way, and this thing looks like it has a lot of upside potential still in play. What we just saw after we bottomed, after the end of our capitulation in October, we saw a completed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave up. And we finished our corrective move back down. A, B, C. And now we're getting continuation from that point. Even though it's breaking out kind of hard, it's still not, you know, I wouldn't consider this overvalued by any stretch of the woods. If what we're looking at here, just to our next resistance, the low end of our resistance is going to be about 72%, and we could easily run all the way upwards of about a 2.5x from here. And that's why I say that this is one of my good picks for heading into this next year, is because we just finished a wave one. This entire move was just wave one. If we pull up our Fibonacci, what we're looking at our minimum target is going to be about a 70%, and if we rally upwards of the 2618, you know, we're looking at about a double your money opportunity. And like I said, this one could easily run upwards of all of our fib extensions and go straight up to about a 2.5x. this is going to be one of the better fundamental plays in my opinion. I don't think that this one's going anywhere. I think it's really going to stick around and do most likely perform pretty well heading into this next year. And so that's why I say that what we're looking at here is a lot of these cycles that are setting up in a big way. This one was just the first breakout. We just flipped prior resistance. It's the first higher high in the new bull trend. And guys, we literally, depending on how big the Bitcoin move actually takes place off of these lows, and depending on how well it performs, you know, across this year, if we make steady consolidation and continuing to just go up and building a solid uptrend throughout this year, we could very easily even see Telcoin run upwards of the top of this B wave, which is nearly a 10x. To the all-time highs, we're looking about a 22x. So long term, when the whole market starts breaking out in a big way and we start making new all-time highs, this is going to be one of those that had one of the gnarlier corrections. But oftentimes, some of those cryptos that have those massive corrections, they provide the biggest opportunity for profit on the way up. So just keep in mind, guys, that nothing's ever guaranteed. I could be wrong on these, but these are some of my top picks that I think are going to do well. I like the technical setup. Some of these are more fundamental plays, like Hami. This is one that was a little bit more of a Deegan play, but I like the fundamentals behind it. GMX and Mummy Finance are going to be two that, in my opinion, are going to do well because of the fact each one is basically the same as each other. GMX is getting ready to go into new all-time highs. Mummy is sitting at $2 million in market cap. I think I might actually add more to my position because we are basically sitting at our previous support level. We reclaimed it, which is, to me, is a really big bullish opportunity. And that was kind of this move here. We broke from descending resistance. We've reclaimed previous support. Now that we're kind of consolidating in here, I think it's a good opportunity. I might actually accumulate a little bit more. I don't know though, don't quote me on that or anything. I already have a decent position that's staked. And so guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want to follow what I'm doing inside of my Discord server, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up for my Signal service. For the people who would like to just join for free, links are in the description for my free Discord as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.